G'day, how you going? Have you ever wanted to live in a third world country under the rule of a corrupt communist government? No? Well, too bad. Welcome to the beautiful country of Afghanistan. I've been given a new job, where I work on the border, search for contraband, and read every single tedious document to look for any error. If I find anything wrong, they are denied entry. But if I don't, well, you guessed it, then they're allowed across the border. The job should be pretty straightforward, but it's not. In the job description, it didn't mention getting to shoot at rebel gangs, getting in the middle of corrupt government decisions, solving murders, dealing with horrible drivers, and angrily shooting innocent civilians and their chickens when I'm mad. But we'll get to that later. It's April 16th, 1981, and it's my first day on the job. I quickly find out the previous commander of the border police was accused of dealing with smugglers and was sentenced to 10 years of hard labour. Great. After learning the basics, I was ready for my first victim. Immigrant. Now you gotta look out for the differences in names, passport numbers, see if his ID is still in date, look if it's him in the photo, etc. It may seem simple now, but trust me, it gets harder. After doing all my checks, I had my first successful border crosser. And then the very next person was my first unsuccessful border crosser. After a few more cars, my day was complete. Before heading off to bed, I decided to get familiar with some of my co-workers, and some conversations went a bit deeper than I thought they'd be.
Yeah. Ada?
The commissioner said I could go to my apartment to rest, but, what the fuck is this? After viewing my luxurious apartment, I decided to hit the hay. What the hell? Where am I? What's that? Is that capitalism? Oh my god. After having that terrible nightmare, my second day on the job would begin, and I would quickly run into my first smuggler, but it was really hard to find. It's not like the smuggler marks it out with a symbol that's detectable with a UV light that I happen to own, right? Right? Yes. I happened to find some booger sugar and arrested my first criminal and sent him to jail. A few days later, I found yet another smuggler with his stash being hidden in the bumper of his car. Smugglers can hide contraband in various places in a car: seats, engine bays, roof lining, tires, and even fuel tanks. But with that being said, I arrested yet another smuggler and went to sleep again. I had a lot better sleep this time around and was ready for my third day on the job. This day would start off a little different than my other two. I had to deliver prisoners, go see my friend Vladdy Boy, buy some weapons, and then deliver my contraband at the police base. As I entered, I decided to push my luck and see what would happen if I hit a police officer. I lost $500 and ended up $48 in debt. Oh my god, are you serious? I then decided to play with his body and then immediately got out of personal debt after delivering all my contraband. I then made my way back to the border outpost and went to bed. My stats for the day were really good. It included 1 murder, and I even ended up leaving my outpost in debt on just my third day on the job. Terrific. My fourth day, I was introduced to another new thing to look out for. People on the border can now bring cargo, another new way for smugglers to hide contraband. I now have to make sure their cargo list is correct and look at each individual piece of cargo for contraband. I quickly found alcohol in this poor guy's oven. Sneaky, but not sneaky enough for me. Contraband can be found in cement bags, toilets, ovens, barrels, and fake animals.
No.
I then began my final day of training. I was introduced to a possibility that I didn't think was possible. Border runners. I quickly ran to my car and pursued him. After chasing him for exactly 1 minute, I rammed him into a tree and caught my first ever runner. I received a call upon my arrival, and I was told I need to find Sergeant Gavrilov, who was on the trail of a rebel gang called the Bloodfists. I made my way to the sawmill and witnessed Gavrilov making a deal with the rebel leader. Corruption in a communist country. Who would have thought? I then got into a shootout with the rebels and died. Also I thought. And with that, my 5-day training was complete. If I happen to get into debt again, this time, I will be fired. For those who don't know what the hell is going on, which was me when I was playing, gather around the campfire so I can simplify for you. There is 3 factions in this game: the communist government, aka me, the Oberankov gang, who are the smugglers, and then the Bloodfists, which is an anti-government resistance movement who completely opposes me. I can choose to side with the government or with the rebels at various points in the game, but we'll get to that soon. On day 6, I caught some more smugglers and then decided to deliver prisoners and contraband after my shift had ended. While on my way, I was ambushed. I drove away. And then came back, I destroyed them. I travelled to the police base, and this time I made sure I didn't hit the police officer. On my way back home, a tree had blocked the road. Me then chopped tree.
Chop, 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 chop.
Day 7 was going smoothly until we got ambushed by the rebels.
Epic.
Following the attack, I decided to upgrade my boy Maximov
Drip.
and admired my commie dictator Igor Akarov before bed. Day 8 was mid. Day 9 began with a phone call notifying me that Gavlarov, who betrayed us, was in the area and I was sent to follow him without him seeing me. He then came to a halt and got out on foot to walk to a non-conspicuous area. All I had to do was not get spotted. I then went on to get spotted. But it's okay because I won't make that mistake next time. I then made that same mistake next time. Gavrilov then led me to a cabin in the woods, where he notified me that he was aware that I was the one who was following him. So then why the hell did it matter if he spotted me earlier then? He then told me some sob story about corruption and not having democracy. Wah. I was then presented with the option to arrest him or let him go. I was conflicted with what choice I should pick, but then I had a vision of Igor's beautiful face and realized I couldn't let him down. Gavrilov was then arrested. Day 9, I knew there would be backlash from the rebels after my choice, so I decided to upgrade my defense by acquiring a sniper, who has a pistol equipped as his main weapon. Makes sense I guess. After my shift was over, I decided to deliver some prisoners and contraband. I was ambushed and died. I then came back and defeated the attackers, only to get blown up by my car.
Oh, how do I get out of this? Shit. Oh.
Day 10 was a horrible day for me. I let a smuggler go, which resulted in me being fined hundreds of dollars, and then one of my best workers was ran over. Day 11 was no better, as I had a never runner at the outpost. I chased him for what seemed to be an eternity. In reality, it was about 7 minutes, but no matter what, I could not get close to him and decided to just let him go. Day 12 was a pretty normal day, apart from getting ambushed. Day 13, I was introduced to the vehicle scale. If a person's car is too heavy, then they aren't allowed in.
Obese.
On day 14, I received another call. This time, it was about solving a murder that had happened at a bar just recently. I didn't realize being a border officer included me solving murders, but here I am. After briefing with the officer on the scene, I had literally no idea what was happening. I don't know if it's my attention span being fried from TikTok or something, but yeah. I searched for evidence and then I questioned all the people at the scene, and I had to make a decision on who I could let leave the crime scene. I decided Timur and the cleaner were innocent. This was a bad choice. When I went to investigate a picnic table, I was snuck up from behind and taken out. I realized that my option was wrong and just guessed my next option. I then went onto the picnic table and didn't die, so I'm guessing I chose the right option. I questioned the remaining suspects, I guessed who to let go once again, and it was right. The sergeant then unlocked the warehouse where I could find evidence on who the murderer was. This dumb criminal literally left his name on the letter admitting to his crime, and for once, I could confidently know what was happening with this mystery. I once again sided with the government and I arrested Timur, completing the mystery. I would give this quest 4 hammer and sickles out of 10. Day 15 was mid, but at least I was halfway through my contraband career. With day 16, I was ambushed by rebels yet again. After finishing my border work, I decided to go on a contraband interception quest. I arrived at the cemetery and fought off thugs and collected the contraband. This was just tedious and repetitive, and I would never do this again. Day 17 was a major day in Kazakhstan. A pandemic had infected the people. The virus was called Novid-78. It kind of reminds me of a virus from a few years ago, but I can't quite remember the name of it. Maybe it was typhus, but I don't know. With the pandemic, I have to check the person's vaccination card, make sure the name matches, and that the vaccination is at least 2 weeks old. On day 18, I was given my next mission. I was given the task of investigating screams in an abandoned motel. I arrived at the spot and took out the rebels who were there and discovered a hostage called Pyotr Kavka, who was a fellow employee of the government. I decided to let him go. Day 19, I was ambushed and decided to stock up on ammo from Vladiboy. But other than that, the day was pretty uneventful. Day 20 was a skibbity toilet, phantom tax, L-Riz kind of day. On day 21, I got another quest. I had to go to some old ruins and take out some gang members. It turns out a member of the Oberenkov gang was arrested and I had to get some information out of him. After an unsuccessful attempt to make him talk peacefully, I was told I had to make him talk no matter what. I then went on to do the complete opposite of that.
Oh, I didn't actually mean to shoot him,
On my second attempt, I did the same thing, but with a knife. It didn't work. On my third attempt, I offered him cigarettes as a way to try and win him over. After that failed, I then hit him with an axe. On my fourth attempt, I hit him in the leg and he decided to finally talk. The man I was looking for was an undercover agent of the Oberenkov gang who was helping the government. I found him in the cemetery and decided to help him. It was an eventful day, to say the least. On day 22, it wasn't an eventful day. On day 23, it wasn't an eventful day. On day 24, it wasn't an eventful day. On day 25, it wasn't an eventful day. On day 26, it wasn't an event. Oh wait, just kidding. I received a call notifying me to go to the labor camp and to bring a gun. I then arrived at the labor camp and was given a gun. That dispatcher clearly lied to me. It turns out the leader of the Oberinkov gang was captured and we were transporting him somewhere else. With everyone expecting his gang to try and rescue him, I was placed as the person to be in the line of fire in the back of the police van. Thanks. After defeating all the enemies, the van was then stopped by blood-fist rebels. I approached slowly and refused to cooperate with them. On day 27, nothing happened. On day 28, I denied a person entry and then removed these chickens from existence. The very next person had contraband that was so badly hidden, I decided to just end him right then and there. But it's okay, because he was a criminal. On day 29, I was ambushed and then finally decided to give my sniper an actual sniper. And then I went to bed. On day 30, it was finally my last day in this hellhole. I was notified on the phone that it was the day the Bloodfist would be taken out for good, with me taking out the leader, Garen. I arrived at the location and went absolutely sicko mode with the sniper. After legit doming everyone I could see, I went into the secret back room and confronted the leader of the Bloodfist. He knocked me down, gave his evil villain speech, and attempted to finish the job. However, I came in clutch and shanked him with a piece of glass with some of the most realistic animations I've ever seen. With that being said, the commies had won. I'd finally made Igor proud, and the game was over. This game was interesting to say the least. Like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hooroo.